After you have selected the data that you want to appear in a chart, there are 3 quick ways to create a chart. I'm interested on this worksheet called Data Selection to show the data from cells A3 over and down to G7. So I highlight the data. If I'd like to have a chart on its own but separate sheet, I'll press the function key F11. Watch the screen. We're on a new sheet. Nothing else is on the sheet except this chart. We're not seeing the data that the chart is related to, yet it is in sync with that data. One advantage of working with the chart this way is the chart tends to be larger, you're focused, you're not working with the data at all, and you can pursue all the commands you wish to use on the Design and Format tabs, just as you can when you're working with a chart that's on the worksheet. Notice the new sheet name to the left here called Chart 1. If we create another one, it'll be called Chart 2 and so on. Let's go back to the actual source data right here. If you'd like to have a chart right on the same worksheet, after selecting the data, press Alt F1. Now you notice that in both cases, we're seeing exactly the same chart. It's called a clustered column chart. That's the default chart type in Excel. You can change that if you wish. We'll show you how to do that in a later movie. Jumping back to the other sheet called Chart 1, we see that chart. Here we see the same chart on the data selection sheet here. At all times, the charts are in sync with the data. If I'm changing cell B4 for domestic January, maybe that should have been 100, but I mistype it. I type in 1,000. As soon as I press enter, you'll watch the chart here. It changes immediately. And although we're not looking at it, that chart on the other sheet, and I'll jump to it right now, has also changed. We see what's happening there. So the charts are always in sync with the data. I really don't want to keep that there, so I'll press Control Z to undo. Remember, you can also undo from your quick access toolbar, typically at the top of the screen, although you possibly have moved it. We can undo that way as well too. A relatively new way to create a chart, and pretty fast, although not quite as fast, introduced in Excel 2013, is what we call, as I highlight the data here, the Quick Analysis button. You'll see this just beyond the lower right-hand corner anytime you highlight cells. Right here, click this button. You could press Control Q as well. And then we see charts right here. And here we get the chance to select a different chart type. Maybe we'll choose stacked column here. So not quite as fast as the keystroke shortcuts, but nevertheless a quick way to create a chart. So we saw first F11 to create a chart on a new sheet, Alt F1 to create a chart on the current sheet, and then this quick analysis method. In all 3 cases here, we have not yet completed the chart creation process in the sense that we still have a generic title up top. We haven't described what the numbers mean, and maybe the legend isn't where we want it and so on. But we certainly have quick methods for creating charts. Keep in mind again, too, if you've got data that's surrounded by empty spaces, here we can use either of our keystroke shortcuts, but we don't get the quick analysis tool here unless we highlight the data. And there it is there. And we can create a chart that way, of course, and we can go to different kinds. So in this movie, we've seen 3 quick ways to create a chart: F11, Alt F1, or the quick analysis tool.